My husband's mother never liked me. She called me cheap, plain, and just a phase. I ignored it until I found a letter she wrote him that read, "You don't have to settle. I know you still love Camilla." Camilla, his ex. I confronted him, and he admitted they'd been talking for closure. That closure was a weekend in Chicago. So I booked a spa retreat for myself with his credit card and sent a copy of the hotel receipt to his mother with a note. Hope Camilla was worth losing us both. I heard she kicked him out. Now he's living at a Motel 6. Let me tell you something straight. I've never been someone who likes drama. I keep my head down, I work hard, and I treat people how I want to be treated. But sometimes keeping the peace just lets people think they can walk all over you. That was my mistake. I met Daniel at a conference in Minneapolis. He was smooth, a little too polished maybe, but charming in that effortless kind of way. I was working in marketing, trying to move up the ladder, and he was already managing a regional team. He made me feel seen. Really seen. We talked for 3 hours that first night, and I remember thinking, maybe this one's different. Things moved fast. Too fast, looking back. He introduced me to his mom, Margaret, 2 months in. She didn't even try to hide her reaction. She looked me up and down, raised her eyebrows like she'd smelled something off, and said, "Oh, Sarah." That was the start of it. She always had something to say, always in that fake sweet tone old church ladies use when they're being nasty. She'd call my clothes casual, which I learned meant cheap. She told me my food was safe, which meant bland. And more than once she said, "Well, women like you don't usually last. Daniel always comes back to what's right." At first, I just thought she was territorial. Protective, maybe. I mean, it happens, right? Not everyone loves their daughter-in-law. But then she started slipping in little comments about Camilla. Camilla was Daniel's ex from college. First love, Margaret would say. She was stunning, elegant, from a real family. She'd bring her up out of nowhere. Like we'd be eating dinner and she'd say, "Camilla would have used linen napkins." You know, small touches that matter. I started keeping my distance. I thought if I just stayed polite and quiet, Margaret would get bored. I was wrong. The turning point came last fall. I was putting away laundry when I knocked over one of Daniel's old boxes. A few letters spilled out. Most were just boring stuff, insurance forms, cards from old coworkers. But one caught my eye. It was written in cursive, on thick stationery. It was from Margaret, dated just a few weeks earlier. I opened it. It said, "Daniel, you don't have to settle. I know your heart still wants Camilla. It's not too late. You deserve someone who understands you, someone with class, not this phase." I read it 3 times before I could breathe again. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I took a photo of the letter and put everything back where it was. Then I waited. That night, I asked Daniel straight out, "Have you talked to Camilla?" He froze. Stared at me like I'd caught him stealing. "We've talked," he said. "Just for closure." Closure? I asked. What kind of closure needs a weekend in Chicago? He opened his mouth, closed it, then said, "It didn't mean anything." That was when I knew I was done playing the nice girl. The next day, while he was at work, I booked a weekend spa retreat at the American Club in Kohler. 5-star. All the upgrades. Facial, massage, private suite. I used his credit card. The one his mother helped him get when we were planning our wedding. Then I printed the receipt, wrote a note, and mailed it to Margaret's house. It said, "Hope Camilla was worth losing us both." I left for the retreat the following Friday. I turned off my phone. When I got back, he was gone. Turns out Margaret had seen the letter and snapped. I guess cheating was fine until it made her look foolish. She kicked him out. She told our mutual friends he betrayed the family. Now he's living in a Motel 6 on the edge of town, eating fast food and texting me things like, "I made a mistake and can we talk?" No, Daniel, we can't. Because I finally remembered who I was before you. And I'm not someone's phase. Not anymore. After I sent that letter to Margaret and went off to my spa weekend, I figured things were over.
Done.
I thought I'd walk away clean. But I underestimated how messy people get when they're embarrassed. And Margaret? Margaret doesn't just get mad. She plots. A week after I got back, I started getting strange messages. Fake numbers, no caller ID. Things like, cheap girls like you always end up alone. He was never yours to begin with. Camilla never had to pay for her own spa days. At first, I thought it was Daniel. But then one message ended with a phrase I'd heard before, something Margaret used to say, class isn't bought, it's bred. I knew it was her. I ignored the messages. Told myself it would stop. But it didn't. It got worse. She sent letters to my job, typed, no return address. Said I was emotionally unstable, suspicious around company funds, even accused me of aggressive behavior in the office. It was all lies, but HR had to investigate anyway. My manager, Darren, pulled me into a meeting and said, Sarah, is there anything going on we should know about at home? I almost broke down right there. That was the moment I realized Margaret wasn't going to let me go that easy. She wanted me humiliated. She wanted me to leave town so she could pretend I never existed.
So I fought back.
I filed a harassment report with the police. Showed them the messages, the letters, the timing. I kept every receipt, every envelope, every call log. Then I got a restraining order. When it was granted, I mailed a copy to Margaret's house with a sticky note that said, "This is how real women handle things." Daniel tried to call me again. Said his mom was going through a lot and asked if we could just sit down and talk. I didn't respond. Instead, I sent the screenshots of his messages, the fake apologies, the lies to Camilla. Found her on LinkedIn. I figured if she really was still in the picture, she deserved to know who she was dealing with. She replied an hour later. Thank you. I didn't know.
I'm sorry.
A few days later, I heard from a mutual friend that Camilla had ghosted Daniel. Blocked him on everything. Moved back to Seattle. Then it got quiet. Too quiet. Until one night, about a month later, I saw Margaret's car parked outside my apartment building.
Just sitting there.
Lights off. She stayed there for 2 hours. I watched her from behind my curtain. My hand was on my phone the whole time. I didn't call the cops. I wanted her to know I saw her. I turned the porch light on. She drove off. I thought that was the end of it. But I was wrong. I didn't drive home right away. I sat in my truck in the parking lot, engine off, windows down. The night air was sharp, but I barely felt it. My hands were shaking. Not from fear, more like release. I had held in so much for so long, and now it was out there. Everyone knew. My phone lit up like fireworks. First was Mallory. Then her sister. Then my mom. A voicemail from my cousin Emily. What the hell just happened? I didn't answer any of it. I just sat there. It took 30 minutes before Mallory came outside. She spotted my truck and walked fast toward it, heels clacking on the pavement. I rolled up the window. She knocked. I didn't move. She knocked again, harder. Adam, let me in. I cracked the window. Just enough. Her eyes were wide. Tears on her cheeks. What the hell was that? You know what it was. That was private, she snapped. You embarrassed me in front of your entire family. I let out a dry laugh. You embarrassed me for months. I just showed everyone the truth. She looked around like someone might be watching. Can we go home and talk about this like adults? Go home with your work friend. I'm not your husband anymore.
She paused.
That hit her. Then she whispered, You don't mean that. I looked her dead in the eye.
Yeah, I do.
She walked away, heels wobbling, mascara streaked. That was the last time I saw her face to face for a while. Back home, I stayed at a motel for the night. I couldn't walk into our house, not yet. I didn't want to see the couch she used to nap on, the kitchen where we used to make Saturday pancakes. All of it felt fake now. Over the next few days, the fallout spread. Jake texted me. That was insane. But I don't blame you. Carla wasn't so forgiving. She was mad that her wedding got turned into a scandal. I felt bad, but not enough to regret it. Then came the bigger blow.
Nate emailed me.
Emailed. Like a coward. Said I humiliated them unnecessarily, and that their relationship wasn't physical until recently. Like that made it better. He ended the email with, "I hope someday you can see that what you did caused more harm than good." I didn't respond, but a week later, I got another email from Mallory's work. HR. Apparently, someone had forwarded the wedding video. It had been posted by a guest on Facebook. Mallory and Nate were identified in it. Her company had a strict no-fraternization policy. Nate was technically her supervisor. They were both suspended. A few days after that, Mallory was fired. Nate, too. I didn't know any of this until Mallory showed up at my front door. It was a Saturday morning. I had just made coffee. She knocked. No warning. I opened the door, and there she was. Dressed plain. Eyes swollen. "I lost my job," she said. "I heard. You don't even care?" I leaned against the doorframe. "Did you care when you were texting him under the table while I sat beside you?" She said nothing. Then she mumbled, "I don't even know if I want to be with him anymore." "That's not my problem anymore." "I made a mistake," she whispered. "No," I said. "You made a choice." Over and over. She left after that. Quiet. No more begging. But a few days later, her lawyer reached out. She was asking for the house. The house. That was her new angle. We didn't have kids. Just a mortgage and furniture we picked out together. I guess she figured since I was the one who walked out, she had a better shot at keeping it. Her lawyer claimed she had emotional attachment to the home, that she intended to remain there for stability. They even threw in some nonsense about how my public outburst at the wedding damaged her emotionally and financially. I laughed out loud when I read the filing, but it wasn't funny, because legally, things aren't about who hurt who. They're about who can prove what. And she had moved back in after I left. She'd staged photos, watering the plants, baking in the kitchen, even posted a selfie from the porch with the caption, "Healing where I'm planted." She was playing the long game. So, I changed my strategy. I went quiet, let her think I'd given up. Then I gathered every email, every text, every photo. I even pulled copies of our old shared calendar. Appointments where she had client dinners that lined up with nights Nate stayed late at her apartment. Thank you, neighbor security cams. I hired a real estate agent and had the house appraised. Quietly. Then I made her an offer through my lawyer. I'd buy out her share. Above market price.
Cash.
She bit. Greed wins where guilt doesn't. We closed within 3 weeks. She signed the papers with a smile, probably thinking she'd gotten the better deal. She didn't know what I had planned next. 2 days after the ink dried, I listed the house for rent. Not for just anyone. For corporate housing. Premium price. Fully furnished. First tenant? A traveling HR director relocating from out of state for the same company that fired Mallory and Nate. I didn't stop there. Remember those friends who turned cold after the wedding? I sent every one of them the full story. Emails. Screenshots.
Timeline.
I wasn't petty. I was clear. No more letting her shape the story. One by one, people started coming back around. Quiet apologies. We didn't know. She made it sound different. I didn't need their sympathy. I just wanted the truth out. The last twist came 6 weeks later. I got a message from someone I didn't expect. Camilla.
Yeah.
That Camilla. Daniel's ex. She wrote, "I know this is random, but I saw your post on the legal advice forum. Your story sounded familiar. I think we both tangled with the same kind of people. If you ever want to talk, I've been there." Small world. We met for coffee. And what she told me about her side. That changed everything. Camilla was sharper than I expected. She looked me dead in the eye over that coffee and said, "I used to be the woman on the other side. The Camilla Margaret prayed for." She thought I was her dream daughter-in-law. I leaned back in my chair. And Daniel cheated on me too, she said. Back in college. With a girl he met at the gym. Margaret blamed me. Said I neglected him emotionally. I was 19. She showed me a folder on her phone, emails, messages, even a photo of a handwritten note Margaret once left in her mailbox. It said, "You were never a Fitzgerald." We sat in that cafe for 2 hours. By the time we parted ways, I realized something. Margaret didn't care who Daniel was with. She cared who he was with in public. She needed to win, to be seen as part of a perfect family. Camilla said something on her way out that stuck with me. If she loses control, she turns violent. Not with fists, with reputation. I knew what I had to do. I went home, opened my laptop, and started drafting an open letter. Just facts. Nothing more. No rage, no name-calling. I laid it all out. Margaret's years of sabotage, the emotional manipulation, Daniel's cheating, the letter about Camilla. I attached screenshots, blurred sensitive info, and posted it anonymously on a forum for emotional abuse survivors. It went viral. Thousands of comments. Hundreds of similar stories. Women, even men, writing, "This happened to me too." 3 days later, I got a cease and desist from Margaret's lawyer. I ignored it. Then came the news. Margaret's local church group cut ties with her. Apparently, someone recognized her from the letter. Her donation board seat was suspended pending review. A few weeks later, Daniel's job cut his hours. Not because of the post, but because someone leaked screenshots of him trying to hook up with a junior employee. He blamed me. He showed up at my apartment one night, drunk and swaying. "This is all your fault," he slurred. "You ruined me." I didn't even open the door. I just called the cops and watched him get cuffed from behind the blinds. That's when I realized my mistake wasn't marrying him. It was not trusting my gut the first time Margaret looked me up and down like trash. But I fixed that now. And Mallory? She filed a motion to reverse the house deal, claimed she was misled. The court denied it. Then her name popped up in a gossip column. Apparently, she tried to go public with her version of events. But someone leaked the full HR report. She disappeared offline after that. No more inspirational porch selfies. No more healing hashtags. Last I heard, she moved back in with her parents in Racine. Nate dumped her once the money stopped. He's single again, and blocked from every major hiring site after his misconduct record got flagged in background checks. As for me, I stayed in Milwaukee. I kept the house for now. But I'm planning to sell it this summer. Not because I need to, because I want a clean start. I'm not angry anymore. I just don't forget. And if there's one thing Margaret, Daniel, Mallory, and Nate learned too late, it's that when you lie, cheat, and scheme your way through life, eventually someone like me stops playing nice and plays smart instead.